What is going on? The Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am back. It's been a few weeks, man. I haven't been on here. Justin, good to see you here, man. You haven't been here in a while. It's good to have you back, man. How you doing?
Always good to be here. Doing good, doing well.
Yeah, man. It's definitely been a good bit for both of us. I know we haven't really been able to see each other, but man, this is before we get into, today we got Money in the Bank and everything. It's a big show, obviously, taking place in Vegas. It's the card is a little fine at the best to say, but we'll dive into that first or in a few seconds. But I want to get your opinions, man. Last week, probably one of the most historic wrestling pay-per-views of all time, Forbidden Door in Chicago. I know you're living in Chicago. We talked about maybe even almost going to it, but man, AEW New Japan, in my opinion, put on one of the best pro wrestling shows that I think I've seen in a good bit. What are your thoughts, man? Hit me with your favorite match.
No doubt. For something that, obviously there wasn't a ton of build between a lot of the matches. It was literally just created just to be like, here are two really good pro wrestlers going at it. Of course, some of them had story, but I mean, overall, it was just so good. I mean, there was a few things that you can't avoid. But honestly, my match of the night had to have been Orange Cassidy, Will Ospreay.
Yeah, dude.
Always a surprise when you actually see OC go. It almost always catches you off guard to see how good he actually is in the ring.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is we both have been fans of Orange Cassidy for a good bit. We actually sat together and watched the first AEW pay-per-view. So we've definitely been following him for a while. And like you said, I mean, you hit it right on the head. Like, when he does need to go in the ring, he can. And I mean, if you want to talk about, another dance partner, that's probably one of the best in the business. I mean, Will Ospreay is widely talked about as arguably the top technical, in-ring guy, right up there with Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson. So I think that this match really, really let Orange Cassidy, kind of showcase what he could do. And it was a damn good match, like 25 minutes. I think that's kind of what I was surprised at, is how long a lot of these matches were. They definitely seemed to be going for a bit.
I mean, for a relatively big card, it's just there was a lot of matches and they all give them plenty of time, and there wasn't a bad match on the show.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I know we talked about after the show a little bit with, kind of the misplacement maybe of the Tony Storm Thunder Rosa match. Maybe I know that I told you that Tony Khan was trying to get some of the females for Stardom. It didn't end up happening. So we kind of had that one match that was just AEW, and it felt really out of place. And it was still good. I still thought it was good, but I don't know. I don't know if it really not that it should have been on the card. I think that's something that you could do. Like, that's a Dynamite main event. That's like a big match. Give them the 25 minutes they deserve, but not just kind of throw it in on the card just to have it there.
Yeah, and that's not to take anything away from Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm. They're both phenomenal. They can go. It felt a little out of place, but I won't complain about seeing them two go at it at any point. So
exactly. And I mean, again, the only match, and I know you kind of know how big of a fan I am of New Japan, but man, if that Jay White, Okada, Hangman, and Adam Cole match would have just ended just the right way. If Cole didn't get hurt, that sucks.
Yeah,
that he's
that was
hurt,
a shame.
but I
think that was the one thing that took a little bit away from the pay-per-view was like you said, Adam Cole getting hurt, and then Dax Harwood. If I'm not sure if it was a work or not, if it was just like part of the match, or if he actually got hurt, but I thought for sure he busted his shoulder up a little bit.
Yeah,
it's a shame to see, but happy to see him come back though.
Yeah, he came back. I watched the post-media scrum, and he said that he was feeling better and that it wasn't anything too serious, which is good because, I mean, good gracious, how good FTR is right now.
And especially how hot he's been all year. It would be a shame.
Man, I know a lot of people were talking about, Punk and Seth Rollins and stuff, but Harwood is up there for Wrestler of the Year, dude. He has been putting in the work.
I think at this point he might be my Wrestler of the Year. I think Punk and Rollins, I think they have a lot of their names to go behind that as well. Not that they're having bad years at all, but Punk really his first full year back. It's, if they have a comeback Wrestler of the Year, of course.
Correct. Yeah.
I think Harwood just
in the NFL or something.
Almost out of nowhere, just like obviously FTR is great, but him putting on like phenomenal singles matches on top of the tag team classics.
That was
He's
exactly what I
doing
wanted to
everything
say.
you possibly can be.
I mean, even with the inner match they had with FTR of him versus Wheeler,
I
on
know, and I
the
unfortunately haven't
Owen
seen that
tournament.
yet, so I need
Oh,
to watch it.
yeah, go. I'll have to send it to you. Owen tournament. It is a phenomenal piece of storytelling. But yeah, man, Forbidden Door, again, one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time. I got to watch it with our buddy
Yeah.
and also friend of the
Phenomenal.
podcast, Noah. It was the fact that show was that good with the amount of injuries that happened, and with the talks of them doing next year's show in the Tokyo Dome.
That'd be awesome.
If they have a full roster of people like this, that card may break the internet, man. It's going to be exciting. But let's
Give me a 2-day Forbidden Door.
Yes, yes, please, man. I'd be all for it. Let's switch gears here. That was last week's pay-per-view. Now we're going into tonight's premium live event, as they like to call them. Man, the WWE's definitely been under a spotlight the last few weeks. With some outside troubles and legal issues and all that, and we won't get into that. But Money in the Bank tonight. They were supposed to be at Allegiant Stadium. I think they didn't get a lot of ticket sales or anything, so they had to move it to the I want to say UNLV's basketball stadium, but I could be wrong on that. But it's still going to be a pretty good show. I think, I'm wearing Cody's shirt. So, it would be nice to see, because I think he would have easily been the person to win the men's Money in the Bank. But, man, let's get it started right now. Let's go right into that men's Money in the Bank match. I think this is the one that everybody's looking at. Seth freaking Rollins, probably one of the biggest stars in the business right now. Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Omos, Sami Zayn, Riddle, and Madcap Moss. It's a little intriguing kind of roster there. I think there's some names that people would really not want to win, and some that people would be okay with winning. So what do you think of this match? You got winning? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a great one. I think my pick of who I'd want to win, it's Sami Zayn. It's always Sami Zayn. But realistically, it's probably going to come down to Seth or Drew. I think those are probably the two big ticket guys there. I would put it on Seth more than Drew, but I think it's one of those two for sure.
I think here's the thing, and I've people who watch our podcast know that I've been predicting for September. It's going to be Drew and Roman at Clash at the Castle in Wales. I think that's where it's at. So I don't know if you need to give him the win here. I think you could always have Rollins have the briefcase, kind of be that little backup guy and be able to, if you want to pull the trigger tonight, like they did, with the Shield breakup a few money back in 2016, I think. Or you could, let him have it and just hold it off until, WrestleMania or something. I think him and Drew would be a really good, match that we could see. And then you still have, obviously, Roman and The Rock that doesn't need the title. The one person that I will say does not need to win this match, and I'm actually a little worried that they might do it because they have done it before, is Omos. Please, God, do not let this man win the
not
Money
anything
in the
against
Bank.
Omos. I mean, he does what he's supposed to do just fine. Just be in there, be a big monster, but
Big Show,
not the money,
Great Khali,
not the Money in the Bank.
Yeah, those guys don't need it. They're fine. He's always going to be a big presence. Braun is different when he won from the fact that he, was athletic and could actually move, and he was actually over as hell. Not that Omos, I don't know what his reaction is on a nightly basis, at live events and stuff, but he's fine, and I get why you would put it on him, but please do not. And you said Sami Zayn. I think he's a good example of another guy who could really, it'd be a shock win.
And I can't just imagine Sami Zayn with a Money in the Bank contract. All the
the vignettes that he would do, the
vignettes,
stuff.
all the behind the scenes skits they can do with it. He would be just so good.
Well, the story, now that I think about it, the story actually kind of plays that way. Wouldn't that be funny? He's kind of been the fourth member of
the honorary
the bloodline.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that would? That would actually be a pretty good. I would be intrigued with how they do it, but I also think if you're going to do this, we've heard all the backstage stuff, with McMahon and everything, and now it seems like maybe Triple H is kind of having a hand in creative or whatever. They're moving away from Vince and everything. If that is the case, I mean, Sami Zayn winning would be a first real hey, this is different. Like we're kind of changing everything up. Like this is how it's going to be. Even a guy I really expect to perform well is Madcap Moss, man. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's, one of the top, young guys in the business. A little surprised that I know he's got a match later, but I would have loved to have seen Austin Theory in this match. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's.
I wouldn't.
And I know
wouldn't
Wayne
be
is
surprised
too.
The next couple of years, he'll probably be in there and maybe win one too. But
yeah, because Wayne predicts that he's going to be the next Randy Orton, and I totally agree.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, they're obviously very high on him. They have been since he's been in NXT. So, and he can do the WWE thing. He's got the look. He can go in the ring. He's not bad by any means. And on the mic and stuff, he's
he's good, man.
He plays the millennial. He plays the millennial heel perfectly.
Correct, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you take a stunner at WrestleMania in Steve Austin's last match. I mean, that's got to be something. It's got to tell you that the business or the company is at least somewhat behind you.
Yeah, but I honestly, overall, I think the men's Money in the Bank is set up to do really well. Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, both great. Sheamus, he's been there forever. It's a good name to have there.
Always good.
Sami Zayn, Riddle. I love Riddle.
We didn't talk about Riddle yet, man. That's good.
He's going to be great. Omos is going to be there, and I hope I don't want to see that man climb a ladder. So just keep him down. That'll be fine.
Over under on how many times he attempts it. I'm gonna say 5. Let's go. I'm gonna go
spot where he steps on the ladder, breaks.
Yeah, really. Yeah, exactly. Hey man, him and Sheamus could beat the hell out of each other for a good bit. I'll see that.
Yeah, I think just on paper it's set up to be a really solid Money in the Bank though.
Yeah,
I think you got guys in there who could definitely make it work.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. And let's just go right into the women's match. I'm going to grab something out of my oven here real quick. But Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Lacey Evans, Asuka, Raquel Rodriguez, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch. What do you got for this one, man? This is another big one. I think the writing's on the wall for one of the big stars to win. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think the winner was probably going to end up being Becky Lynch. I think that's probably what's going to happen. But again, my kind of sleeper would like to see is Liv Morgan. I think she's been putting in a ton of really great work over the last year or two, and I'd love to see her kind of finally get that shot. And I think a Money in the Bank is a really great way for her to do it rather than building into a feud and going into a match. I think her being able to cash in on someone would be probably the best way to put the title on her.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. And I know me and you have definitely both talked about Liv Morgan as well. That's one of the people that I think has not been a prominent character in WWE, but she had that one, title match and then just kind of floundered. She's been around with Finn and AJ when they were before they did the change with Judgment Day, but I like Becky. I really do. And I think that she was great as a person chasing the title.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to see something different. And I know that that's kind of different from what I said with the men's. I just think that Seth is the only person that's viably could actively actually beat Roman right now on the roster, on the entire roster.
Yeah, I would agree, definitely. I think but I think that's kind of the beauty of the Money in the Bank there is if a Sami Zayn or Riddle would win it, when Brock and Reigns have their match, somebody could slide in after that. All these matches that they could do, there's ways to kind of weasel around that in that sense.
Correct, and I think that's with the women's is yes, Becky and Asuka are two very good choices, and I think that one of those two will win. But you also have a lot of good stars in here that could get a surprise win, like you said. Liv Morgan's on there. I think they're pretty high on Raquel Rodriguez. She had that first match on SmackDown. One of her first matches was a championship match. She's big. Lacey Evans is just recently returned.
Yeah, I definitely
wanna
think
pick
the
Liv.
women's is a little more open. I think there's
Correct.
obviously Asuka and Becky Lynch are the two favorites, but like someone like Liv Morgan, Alexa Bliss even. I mean, how long has it been since she's been in the title picture? Like,
and I mean, how long has it been since she's been back? I mean, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't expect it. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Bayley run in at some point in this match. I know she's been gone for a long time.
That would definitely breathe some life into their women's division.
Yeah, because they, especially with I know they've been talking about bringing back, Sasha and Naomi, trying to fix that relationship.
Yeah,
that
definitely. But I think worst case though, like this Money in the Bank with Liv Morgan, Lacey Evans, Raquel Rodriguez, especially those three, they have a really good chance to kind of introduce new people into the main event there. And I think all three of them would be really good choices. I know Lacey Evans has had kind of a run at that point before, but she was still pretty green the first time around.
Yeah, and she was going up against Charlotte, and that was just a weird story to begin with.
So I think they have a really good opportunity if they wanted to do that. But if Becky Lynch or Asuka wins it, like nobody can argue that. Those two are both
can't
phenomenal.
Be disappointed. Yeah. I think like you said, the women's one is a lot more open, and there's a lot more chance for a surprise victory. But I don't
think there's a bad winner for that one.
Correct. I wouldn't be upset if it was, let's say it is Seth and Becky. That would be a little funny just because obviously they're married and they're on the poster too. But if it is what people think, it's not like I'd be disappointed with that. I think there's a lot of good story that you can go for. And really, I mean, WWE just needs a shot in the arm right now. They need an exciting match. Last year's Money in the Bank is probably one of my favorite matches of the entire Money in the Bank history, not just the pay-per-view. I think it's one of the best. So these two matches are always something that we look forward to. It's kind of like the Royal Rumble, like you can never not be excited for the Royal Rumble. Do they always, disappoint or whatever? Yeah, some of them do, but it's still the excitement built around it. And with ladders in
matches like Money in the Bank and Royal Rumble, like a bad Money in the Bank, a bad Royal Rumble, it's still fun to watch.
It's still something that as a wrestling fan, I think you try to watch. Like, it's just like WrestleMania. Like if you're a wrestling fan, you at least try to watch some part of WrestleMania, even if it's bad. But I want to do a little sidebar here because I'm curious on your opinion. Tonight we do have the pay-per-view. It's on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. What's your opinion on that, man? Because I'll tell you, I work third shift.
Saturday pay-per-views are so much better than Sunday night pay-per-views.
So much better. Yeah, I'm glad we agree.
It's just so much more accessible. I mean, say somebody like misses it tonight, they could watch it on Sunday. Like they still have all day Sunday. Like you're not missing work or staying up too late to watch it or whatever. It's so much better on Saturdays.
I think it just. I don't want to if I'm on a Sunday getting ready to go to work and getting ready to go to bed for work, I want to be able to kind of decompress and relax and not have to intently watch wrestling.
Yeah, I also think it helps depending on the time of year. I mean, they don't have to worry about going up against NFL games and stuff in the fall, winter.
Correct.
If there's anything going on, they probably wouldn't book anything like Super Bowl weekend, but something like that. I mean, Sundays does kind of have that big event feel, but Saturday is just so much more accessible for people.
I think it's a lot easier to go up against, and you made a great example. Go up against LSU versus Florida on a Saturday night football game than it is versus Packers and Bears Sunday night football.
Yeah,
that's completely different, and the audience is way different. Now, obviously, they're both going to be great games, but WWE needs to make the smart business decision. And I just think as a fan, it just makes the weekend a little bit more enjoyable too to have it on a Saturday. It's something to look forward to, but you don't feel like you're, like I said, waiting your whole weekend for it, and then it's 3 hours, and then you're tired, on Sunday, or you miss it, But good. I just want to get your opinion on that. Get back into the matches here. We mentioned Austin Theory. We'll talk about him. He's got a United States Championship match with Bobby Lashley, Big Bob. This is it's an interesting one. I could see a surprise win with this one, honestly.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one. I could see it going either way. I think they want to keep a title on Theory.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they want to have a title involved in the match with him and John Cena, which is coming. So I think my pick for this one might be oh Big Muscle Bob.
Oh, Bobber.
Oh, Bobbert. Bobbert Lashley.
Bobber Lashley. Yeah, that's a great kind of segue into the whole Cena thing because we know that those two have been linked. They interacted when Cena came back on Monday, but Cena did not. I think a lot of people, myself included, were expecting Cena to be like, "I'm back," I'm challenging at SummerSlam or something. Doesn't seem like that's what's going to be. WWE's not advertising him for any shows, so it might be Survivor Series, it might be WrestleMania till we see him. But I think that you hit it right on the head. Cena Theory doesn't need a title. Now, if it was to the point that it did have a title and Cena won, and they brought back the United States Open Challenge, now that awesome. I'd be great with that because there's a lot of good guys and. I mean, hey, bring it to NXT. Like, really give it to someone like Carmelo Hayes. Me and you have shared our praises of him, but dude, he's a dog. And I think
there's so much good stuff you could do with that open chat. I mean, just rehash what you did with Kevin Owens, basically.
Oh gosh, I mean, got him over.
When it's time to call like Braun Breaker up, he goes to beat Cena for the U.S. title. Let's go fantasy book this.
Yeah, dude. Or I mean, even if you want to go even younger and go even like. Crazier pick Gable Stevenson. Yeah, I think that's a great, Jesus, could you imagine him getting he probably wouldn't win, but a 15-minute match with John Cena on Monday Night Raw, I mean, you're
a lot of good you can do with it for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. You're making a star. But gosh, man, I want to pick Theory because I'm a big fan of him and I don't think that they'll take the title off him, but
it feels really soon to do it. I agree.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to have to agree with you. I think I'm going to go with the shocked Bobby Lashley win. I think that now that Bobby's not really messing with Omos and anything, and good riddance, gladly he's not. I think that he still needs to be – we don't want him to just kind of flounder around in the mid-card. I think a good spot for him – yeah, I think United States champion, kind of run it back like they did in 05-06. Like, they have a good enough roster and a good enough spot already with Theory that he can kind of just do his own stuff every week. I mean, look at Elias. Ezekiel, that's a name we should have seen in the Money in the Bank match. But, I mean, Ezekiel comes out, does his stuff, like, and it's funny, and he's got his solid place on the card. Like the same – you can kind of be – or here's a great example in AEW. Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks really only wrestles on – dark elevation and stuff, and that's fine. But when he does, he's always on Dynamite and Rampage, doing a little talk or doing a little backstage interview, like because he's a good heel, like he knows what he's doing, and I think that can kind of be a good spot for Austin Theory. So man, I think I'm going to take the old Bobbert as well.
Yeah, and I think those mid-card titles need someone to bring some importance back to them.
Oh, my goodness.
Bobby Lashley being a champion within the last couple of years, just looks good with a title on him. Like, he's massive.
Dude.
Looks great. And his last United States run was, or maybe it was the Intercontinental. I don't even remember. That's how irrelevant they've become.
WWE probably doesn't even remember either.
It wasn't great, and I think he could do something really good with it if given the proper opportunity to, and he has so much more legitimacy behind him now that I think it's a win-win. You can have Theory do other things and bring something back to that title.
Obviously, we know that Bobby isn't the best on the stick, but I think he doesn't have MVP with him now. I don't think he needs a personal stick. Just let him go beat the shit out of people like he did at Bellator. Like, dude's a former MMA, like a really good record. Like,
dude's the real deal.
I don't know if you've seen the Impact when he was still with Impact, but like when he was holding all the titles, dude, he had like 5 titles at the time. Like he is the real deal. Like, and I think if you just put him in that thing
like
where
he's
just
bad on the mic either. He might just, how he did the best, but he's not bad.
WWE has a way with making people who are bad who are not terrible on the mic look a hell of a lot worse because of the crappy scripts that they give them.
Yeah.
But
just have him go out there, beat the shit out of someone, defend.
Yes.
Even if it's short, 6 months, 3 months, anything like that. Just like bring something back to that title, and then you could put it back on Theory or
put it
on someone else or whatever you want to do
with what AEW did. I mean, we're having they had this Blood and Guts this past week, and then for Friday's Rampage, they had a 20-man like kind of weird battle royal. I don't remember Royal Rumble. They didn't not the Royal Rumble. They called it something weird. Brody King won from the House of Black, and like it was a good win. I don't know if you saw his finish, but like the way he had. Basically, how it is, him and Darby
over the ring and just
he's got him in the crucifix. He's got him in a nice little chokehold or whatever, and just drops him, like it chokes him out and drops him, and it's perfect, and that's what you do.
That's all. I'm a huge fan of House of Black, so.
Oh yeah, like Brody King is not that he's not good or anything, but like he hasn't had a big like high profile match in AEW.
He's kind of seen as Malachi Black's henchman, and now.
Yeah. In one night, he's getting an AEW title, and it looks good. Like you can build up these guys with using, not every big guy has to be, ferocious and Brock Lesnar and I'm gonna eat you kind of thing. But like, play to their strengths. The dude's a former MMA champion. Like let him just kill people in the ring. Like the dude that's what he should be doing. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, so I'd love to see him back on Lashley and. Let Theory do something else, and you can have Theory do anything. It'll be great. So exactly. I think it's a win-win.
All right, man. We got like 3 more matches. Let's get into the one that I'm not excited for. Everybody knows that there are 2 people that I'm not a fan of on the women's roster: Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey. Tell me why Ronda Rousey is fighting Natalya for the title.
It's quite literally a make Rousey look good match because Natalya, she's been there forever. She's a veteran. She's been good. They're friends in real life. It's there to build up Rousey and make her look better.
Yeah.
So I think it's there to like give her somebody who can work with her. But Rousey wins it. There's no way Natalya takes that title off her.
Have you seen the feud though that's been going on like behind the scenes, like with them, like how they're, like Natalya's sisters like posting on like OnlyFans or whatever, and just like the petty feud that they're doing is just not working for me. Like I just don't care, and I'm not the biggest fan of Rousey in the ring, and I know that Natalya is obviously from the Hart Dynasty, like she's obviously really good, but
you can't take it seriously. She hasn't been a serious contender in years.
And that's the weird thing to me is that it seems like every year, every 2 years, she's just randomly thrown into a big title match, and it's like, oh, here she is, dude. Like she literally was just fighting on NXT like 2 months ago, like against some like 22-year-old. Like
she's there to try to make Rousey look good, and that's fine. But it
doesn't work.
Seriously expects her to be able to win it. It's just, it's there to be there. Rousey on the pay-per-view.
And I agree. That's the thing. And I think Rousey wins. Maybe this is where we see Bayley. Maybe we see. I don't know. There's
maybe Natalya locks in the sharpshooter at some point. Somebody comes and cashes in.
Yeah, I think you need to do something different with these women's matches, just because I feel like they both are really predictable. And going in, so we're both going Rousey on that one. Going into the next women's match for the Raw title, originally was supposed to be Bianca versus Rio Ripley, which I think would have been phenomenal.
That would have been so good.
Phenomenal. And I feel like Bianca's kind of had a lot of bad luck as a champion. A lot of her matches have either been just like canned or switched up. Like obviously her and Sasha at SummerSlam, got turned into her and Banks, and then Banks, the same person. Her and Becky. Obviously Becky won. Her luck seems a little diff out there, and I don't think that this match is going to be bad in a sense. Obviously now we have Carmella joining in. Another person that I think is still kind of fits that Natalya mold. She's definitely been a little bit more like upper mid card, but it just seems like randomly she'll get a title shot, and they're like, "Here, we want you to believe that she's viably going to win."
Yeah,
and it's just like,
I think it's because she did hold the title at one point. It's just like, if she's a former champion, she could win. But
she won the title thanks to a man winning the first women's Money in the Bank match.
It's just, I don't know, man. I think it's a little more believable that Carmella could beat Bianca Belair, but
correct. But it's not. It's not going to happen.
there's no chance. It's
there's no
Bianca
chance.
Belair. Yeah.
So I think we're going to see something in one of these matches. Maybe Rhea does, make an appearance at the end or something. I think Judgment Day gets involved in some way throughout the show.
I
But
think they've got to
these
do
women's
something
matches
there.
just seem really predictable.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I
And-
think outside of the Money in the Bank matches so far, it's just like everything kind of feels it's there to be there.
Well, there is one match that I think, and I kind of saved this one for last just because I think it's the one that I'm looking forward to the most. I think that going back a few months, the Usos and Randy Orton and Riddle tag team unification match on SmackDown is one of the first times that in a long time in WWE that I've really felt like, man, this is a big match. Like, this is a big stakes thing. Like, even with Brock and Roman, it sucked again. But you kind of at least were like, oh, this is intriguing. We haven't seen an undisputed title in a bit.
It's at least supposed to be important, even though
exactly. Even though it's disappointing.
It's nothing against those guys. It's been done too many times, I think, at this point.
Yeah, but the tag titles, Wayne, I know definitely has been, look, we need to unify the titles. Your division's crap, and it is. We know that. But, man, Street Profits. Oh, boy. They can go. Montez Ford, The Rock has said it. Everybody kind of knows that the dude is the next star. I fully agree with that. So tonight, man, another a championship match for the SmackDown titles, or for the tag team titles, I should say. Usos and Street Profits. I think I'm going to pick the Street Profits, man. I think we kind of need to, this is future booking in my mind with the whole Drew winning at Clash of the Castle. If you're going to kind of start building the fall of this Roman Empire, the tribal chief stuff, this is a great first step. You're still out a little far away from the pay-per-view to where you can do, rematches and then trying to regain the titles and stuff. But start to, kind of bring it down to where Roman's starting to crumble. He loses. And then obviously you get The Rock coming out for WrestleMania, all that stuff. But man, I think the Street Profits would be a fantastic pick to win.
Yeah, I would not be upset. And like we were talking about with their division, getting the titles unified, great call. It's a very top-heavy division. You have 3 or 4 just phenomenal tag teams, and then not a lot else.
Yeah, exactly.
Which sucks. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to pick. I would love to see the Street Profits win. Montez Ford is awesome, but it might be a little too early for me to pull it on Money in the Bank.
Gosh,
might be a little weird.
Hey, I'm glad we finally at least disagreed on one match. Moose wants to say hi. All Elite Moose. Hi, Moose. Are you on the podcast, buddy?
Moose is all elite.
Moose is all elite. But yeah, man,
I think I got to go with the Usos in this one. I think it's a little too early, but I wouldn't be upset if it went the other way.
Yeah. No, I can see what you mean on that. I do think, and again, this is all just on the fact that I've been calling ever since they said that we're gonna do Clash of the Castle, like a UK pay-per-view. I've been dead set on Roman losing to Drew, get that 92 British Bulldog, pop from SummerSlam, 92 back then. I still think it's going to happen. However, like you said, it might be a little too soon now. Maybe wait till SummerSlam to be able to do that kind of the switcheroo or the first domino to fall, I guess. It'll be interesting, but I do think outside of the Money in the Bank matches, which obviously kind of should steal the show just from the spot fest that they are, I still think that those are going to be, the big matches on the show. But let me tell you, man, I really do think Street Profits and the Usos is going to be one of the top matches on the card.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. They should have a great match.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this card is I don't even know, dude. It's fine. It's not like
it's a great way to describe it.
It's just fine. And I think again, and this isn't. I'm not trying to compare WWE AEW. I don't care. I like good wrestling, and I do think that this show will have good wrestling. but just like the amount of like qualities when you put the two pay-per-views on paper, what AEW is bringing out recently, and not we won't count Forbidden Door, but even before then with what was it, All Out? Is that no All Out's in September? Double or Nothing. Double or Nothing was just recently. Put that card up against what Money in the Bank is, which is one of the top. I'd say it's probably top 4 now because Survivor Series is so bad. Like this is normally a big deal. If
it's not 4, it's 5. It's one of the. We'll say the big 5 there then.
Correct.
Like Money in the Bank is supposed to be super important, and I don't know. I think I'm excited for the ladder matches. I think those will be great. Other matches will be fine, but it's weird to have a pay-per-view without like a major title, or in this case, their major title being defended. Yeah, it just makes it feel not as important.
Let's get in that real quick as we wrap it up. What's your thoughts, man? Because we've kind of had some time to see it now. We talked about that, unification match at WrestleMania. Roman, man, huh? Who knows?
Are they unified? I don't think anybody knows.
He's never even on the card anymore. Like, and I get it. He's a family man. I truly do understand.
I get it. He needs time off. Like, by all means, take your time off, man. You're on the road 300 days a year.
Yeah.
But I think.
It's just the
if you're going to have a Money in the Bank pay-per-view, like imagine if that was on there, it's just like is somebody going to cash in tonight?
Exactly.
Like even that little like inkling in the back of your head, like nobody's cashing in for the United States title. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, really. And I mean, it's not like you don't want to put in a throwaway match. Like you remember, we're both fans of him, but I think it was like Super Showdown or something. Brock and Ricochet, that was just thrown on there just because they wanted Brock on there. You don't need to like bury somebody and give them no chance. But just like, why is he not on the card? Like he should be defending the title. Like maybe if not every pay-per-view, like geez, at least once a month. Like what he defended against Riddle, and it was a fantastic match on SmackDown. It was so good. And we won't see him defend it again until SummerSlam against Brock, and no one cares. Like, I don't.
It almost feels like when Brock had the title and he was the part-time champion. Like people hated it.
Yeah,
and it's a little bit different with Roman because he has been kind of that workhorse up until recently.
And he is a fan favorite. Like when he does show up, he's definitely been molded into, surprisingly, one of the top favorites now after shitty start to his career.
I can't knock him, but I just feel like if you want to have a pay-per-view, make it important. You got to have a major title being defended like that. And I know we got the women's titles on there, but the WWE obviously is not as big of a deal.
It's not even just WWE. I mean, even AEW does that too. Like their women's division is not as good either. But I just
I mean, when was the last time when Becky Lynch won at WrestleMania? Is the last time you felt like that was maybe the biggest title in the company?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean that was.
It just I don't know.
It's a problem that you can't have. Like, and again, we just said it. I get why he's not on the show. Like, I do understand, and obviously your SummerSlam is your big thing. I mean, it's weirdly in Nashville. Like, we're both Indiana boys, and like. I don't know. It just seems weird. I always expect SummerSlam to be in like Houston or like, California or somewhere.
Houston, LA, New York, something like
Nashville,
that. Like
Tennessee.
Huge city.
I mean, it makes me kind of want to go to it, but I just don't care at all about Brock and Hit. and I know you might be able to do like, there's obviously still time. You could put in another person in the match or whatever.
It just feels like it's going to be the same match we've seen.
Correct. And
at WrestleMania, like when they had their match at WrestleMania, I was hoping they were going to. It felt like it should be different circumstance, do a different match, but it's just 10 minutes of spear and German suplex.
Yeah, and you thought with the added, universe, the title unification, and they hadn't been wrestling in a bit, and. Winner also gets Paul Heyman and all that stuff. And, like, also, I mean, it was a good show up to that far. And you're like, oh, okay, well, this has been a really surprising WrestleMania. Now we're getting a title unification match for the first time in 5 years since Cena and Orton did it, I think. Like, it's a big deal. And it just sucked. I remember sitting in the living room here and like watching the finish, and then it just happened, and I was just like, what? Like that was so anticlimactic. Like you can't have the most stupendous main event and all that
Yeah,
crap.
I don't know. I
And
feel like if you're gonna do that, you don't even have to. It doesn't have to be like a technical fest or a big spot fest. Have those dudes walk around the arena and just beat the shit out of each other for 30 minutes. Do something different.
Like when at WrestleMania 31, when they first met, they beat the shit out of each other, and that was it. And that's why it was so good. Like people, I don't know, like just have them
do just an absolute brawl type of match instead of just big finisher spot after big finisher spot.
You remember because we both remember the COVID days when they were doing the Thunderdome, but the Thunderdome was held in my favorite baseball team's stadium, Tropicana Field in Tampa. You remember the match that Kevin and Roman had, or like Roman like hits him with the ATV or whatever?
Yeah,
they went around the whole building
the last
beat the crap out of each other. Yeah, and it was good. Like
it was good, even in the Superdome.
Even going back a little further, we watched this pay-per-view together, but I think it was Rumble 2020 when Edge returned. They were in Arizona in the ballpark at Chase Field. Him and Baron Corbin had a match. And the finish was on top of the dugout. Like it was a last-minute standing match, and they beat the hell out of each other for 15 minutes and used the environment. Like I don't understand why these two can't have a good match.
Like, just don't make it regular. Make it like a no DQ match or something,
Please,
or false count anywhere, anything like that.
Just something. I think it would just. Like,
I think at this point it can be said that like Brock clearly at least likes working with Roman.
Yeah.
There's stories Brock, if he doesn't want to work, he's not going to.
Exactly.
He's worked with Roman so much, so like clearly they at least somewhat enjoy working with each other.
Yeah. But it just like
that, I think they'd be willing to do that. I want to see Brock Lesnar hit Roman Reigns with a steel chair. I think that'd be awesome. Throw him off of something. Just like let these guys go for 20, 30 minutes and have
and it's not like Brock can't go that far. Like you can't be like, oh, Brock's gonna get blown up or whatever. Dude, the dude wrestled in the UFC. Like, look at the dude. Like the dude literally could eat a person in. And I wouldn't be surprised.
A couple years ago, he went what? How long you lasted the Rumble? How long was it? He was there forever.
Even like 45 minutes, if I remember.
He can go.
The dude can go. Like, and that's, I kind of liken it back to when Goldberg and Brock had their first match at WrestleMania. Sucked, crowd hated it, all that shit. They come back, they do the first match at, was that Survivor Series 16? 5 minutes. Absolute just hoss fest, just beat the shit out of each other. And it was phenomenal. It was so good. And then they ran it back again and basically did their WrestleMania 20 match. And people hated it. It's like, dude, this should be like simple. This is Roman Reigns, like The Rock, basically. This generation's The Rock. And I'm not saying that obviously because they're family, but like he is. Like he's really good in the ring.
He's who they built up to be the biggest superstar of the company.
Correct. And I think he's been able to talk a lot more. He can go in the ring really well. And Lesnar, dude, it's Brock Lesnar. Like, just let them fight.
Let Brock Lesnar try to kill Roman Reigns. Let Roman Reigns try to kill Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, like let me see Brock let Cowboy Brock. And it is in Nashville, so we've been seeing
Cowboy Brock, please.
Cowboy Brock in Nashville driving
Cowboy
an ATV.
Shit. Sorry,
wrong Cowboy. Wrong Cowboy. But run over Roman Reigns with the ATV with Cowboy Brock, and he's like doing his stupid smile or whatever. Like,
dude, and like you could do so much with it. I mean. You can make it like a no DQ. Have the Usos run out of there. Brock throws them off a building.
Oh my gosh, he would. That would be great. Maybe
you could do so much with it if you would just like, and it doesn't even have to be like a brutal match. Just like Brock Lesnar suplexing him up on like the ramp and stuff, or back in the back. Like, things like that would be so cool to see.
There's a time there's a time in wrestling where like, okay, I've seen enough spots. I know it's I'm not too surprised anymore. But when you develop those good spots to where it's like the ATV thing, or like John Cena getting chokeslammed into a spotlight, or like, Shane McMahon falling off the scaffolding after getting hit by his kendo stick with Steve Blackman. Like those little things that are normally like fine matches make those matches 10 times better because they properly use them. Like it doesn't need to be, off the Hell in a Cell, then off the ramp, then, all that shit. Just like let them fight for a good 20 minutes and then have a good finish at the end. Like it doesn't need to be anticlimactic. You don't need to run in, like you don't need to cash in anything. Just let them let them fight. Like
I feel like if you sat down and you gave them like, here's 25 minutes, you guys make a match, they would put out something incredible.
They put a good match out.
WWE wants those Brock Lesnar matches to be like, he's going to decimate them, or they're going to hit their big move.
10
they have to hit
minutes
their
or
big
less.
move 5 times and then pin him. He's got to take all of it. It's like, no, just let. Like, if you want Roman to win, that's fine. Let him like beat the shit out of Brock all over the arena. Let him.
It's not like Roman's like doesn't look like a tough guy, dude. Like Roman looks like if he sat next to me, I'd be very afraid. Like he looked like he could also kill me.
He's almost bigger than Brock Lesnar. He's taller than him for sure. Like
exactly.
He looks like he could hang with him.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like they could do so much with it that they just won't.
Yeah, maybe we will see a development tonight. Yeah, maybe for once, this match will actually be good in Nashville. Maybe it's just because he just needed to be with his real people, Cowboys. But man, that's gonna wrap it up. This pay-per-view. We talked about it. I'm excited for it, but not to the point that I think I should be. And again, obviously, both AEW and WWE have been hit with a multitude of injuries recently. I think Cody, if he was on this card, obviously I think he would have won the men's Money in the Bank. But I also just think that I just feel like I would have at least been a little more invested. Geez, tripping over my words there. But yeah, man, we got this pay-per-view tonight. The Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast will be bringing you a post-show tomorrow morning, probably around 10, 11 a.m. That'll just be hosted by me. But Justin, man, it was great to see you. I know we haven't really linked up here in a bit, but glad that you could hop on, man. It's been a while.
Always a blast.
Yeah, man. We'll have to get Noah back on here again. Do another.
Tell Wayne to stop avoiding me.
Yeah, really. All right, everybody. Make sure you subscribe, follow the Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast, YouTube, Spotify. Tell all your friends, man. We're everywhere. Make sure you find our shirts, on ProWrestlingTees.com. It's going to be an awesome, development. We're still bringing out more new shirts. It's this podcast is fun, man, and I think that the one thing that is always great is that me and you, we love talking about wrestling, and that's just what it is, man. It's just us having fun talking about pro wrestling.
Couple dudes being bros,
Couple dudes being bros, man. Alrighty, man. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this Money in the Bank prediction show. Tommy, it's my man Justin over there. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you all tomorrow.